For more, let's speak to Henri Barkey, a professor in international relations at Lehigh University. Hello to you, Professor. First question. Syria's military says it's captured strategic towns. Heavy clashes are reported elsewhere. Help us understand what's happening on the ground in Syria.
Well, there has been a quiet, shall we say, arrangement between the Syrian Kurds and the central government since Bashar Assad had fell last year. The problem is that the Syrian government, which is run by a former Al-Qaeda person, has, with the Turkish government behind it, has tried to take over, and what we're seeing now, that an effort, take over the autonomous region that is run by Syrian Kurds. Now, Syrian Kurds had never really had any power in Syria under Bashar Assad and his father's regime, but was very instrumental in the overthrow of Assad. But more importantly, what the Syrian Kurds, in alliance with the United States, did was to fight the Al-Qaeda, or the Islamic State, and defeated the Islamic State in Syria. And today they control big prisons where there are tens of thousands of former Islamic State prisoners that nobody really wants. So the Syrian government has been trying to control and get control over the whole region, and the two sides, the Kurds and the Syrian government, could not come to an agreement. Well, they have a tentative agreement that they signed March 10th of last year, but that was a very ambiguous agreement that could not be implemented. So now, with the American government involved in so many different issues, whether it's Greenland or Gaza or Venezuela, Trump has not paid attention to this issue. So the Syrian government is taking advantage of that, pushed by the Turks, with Turkish support, taking over by force the Syrian Kurdish area. This is going to be very, very bad for Syria. It's going to begin again a major conflict between the Kurds and the Syrian government. It's going to be very bloody.
Well,
we'll see what happens.
I wanted to ask you about that. We're 13 months after Bashar al-Assad was toppled. This new government had said it was going to unify the country. There's a lot of skepticism about that, but people did have hope. I mean, what is at stake at Syria now? Are these uprisings? Are these clashes? Or could this bleed into something much, much bigger?
Well, it has already. I mean, if you look at what's happening today in northern Syria, these government forces forced the Kurds to move east of the Euphrates River. The Kurds agreed to do it after fighting, but now we are seeing the first signs of the Syrian forces trying to cross to the east of the Euphrates into areas that are completely controlled by the Kurds, that are majority Kurdish areas. And if that happens, you're going to see major massacres. Remember, the government of Syria is run by somebody who runs something called Hayat Tahrir, which was an affiliate of Al-Qaeda. It is really an Islamic State. And the big mistake that was made was for Trump to recognize and give support to Shara, the new president of Iraq, without putting any kind of limits on his behavior. And now we're seeing the results of that. And the United States, it seems to be completely out of the picture at the moment. This is really, really, really bad. And we will see that if the Syrian forces are really pushed back on the east of the Euphrates as well, you're going to see the Kurds becoming a guerrilla force. And there's going to be repercussions in other parts of the Middle East, because remember, Kurds are a minority not just in Syria, in Turkey, in Iraq, and in Iran. But in Iraq and in Turkey, this attack on the Kurds will undermine a whole series of arrangements and agreements. And I think we will see violence increase certainly in Turkey as a result of this. The Iraqi Kurds are in much better shape because they're recognized as a federal state and by the Iraqi government. But it is really in Turkey and Syria that we will see major fighting and massacres.
All right, Professor, thank you very much for your time. Professor Henri Barkey joining us from Washington.